Hello, everybody. Hello, good morning. I hope you're enjoying your stay in Busan. I'm Yoonhwan Lee at Aju University School of Medicine. I'll be chairing this session, the talk concert, so it'll be an informal session. We have a lot of experts with us today to discuss the future of public health. And let me just say that I'm also co-chairing with Augustine Kusuyamati. And she will be introducing the speakers, but let me just introduce you to this session. It is called Envisioning the Future of Public Health, From Challenges to Actions. And as the title suggests, that we'll be talking about the future of public health. So what are the key challenges or issues of public health we're facing today and in the future, and how the future vision of public health will affect, or in the other way, the issues affecting the vision. And then we'll be taking a short break after that and come back and have the experts discuss about specific actions we have to take today to prepare for the future. And later on, all discussions will be open to the floor, so you can actively participate. And I strongly suggest that you do so, because we have a lot of specialists in this field. And with that, let me turn over to Augustine, who will introduce the speakers. And also, before that, the facilitator, I almost forgot. He's the most important person playing a part today. He's Sungwon Park from the National Assembly Futures Institute, and he will be moderating this session. Oh, thank you, and with that, Augustine.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Good morning, everyone. I'm getting nervous because before our concert, we had a wonderful art performance this morning. So I hope we are also at least close to that wonderful art performance this morning. Okay, let me introduce our friends here, our colleagues here that are going to share some of the ideas and invite you to share also your ideas, your thoughts about the future of public health. In my left, I have Dr. Hung Hee Cho. So he is the president-elect of the Asia-Pacific Academic Consortium for Public Health. He is from the Taipei Medical University in School of Health in Taiwan. And then I have next Dr. Sung Ji Kang. Dr. Sung Ji Kang is an expert in digital health. He's a CEO and co-founder of a company called WELT. I'm not sure what is the Welt. Okay, the Welt. Okay, and then next we have Dr. Yan Jolie. Dr. Yan Jolie is from the McGill University School of Biomedical Science. Specifically, he is from the Department of Human Genetics. You see, human genetics. Next, we have Dr. Gilbert Burnham. He is from Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. We know the school, we know him also. Thank you for joining this concert, Doctor. And then we have Dr. Hyun Young Park from South Korea, the director of National Institute of Health, Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency. Next, we have Dr. Laura Magana. He is the president and also CEO of the Association of Schools and Programs of Public Health, and also the Global Network for Academic Public Health. So, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Agustin. I'm from the University of Indonesia. I'm from the Faculty of Public Health, Universitas Indonesia. And in my far left, our facilitator, Dr. Song Won Park from the National Assembly Futures Institute. Now let's start our concert. Doctor, it's your turn.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Kusumayati. Can you hear that? Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you, Dr. Kusumayati. My name is Sungwon Park. I'm working for National Assembly Futures Institute, which operates under the office of the Speaker of Parliament in Korea as a futurist. I'm very honored to be part of this discussion and very exciting to take part in this discussion as a facilitator. Let's get started. Just first round, we're gonna explore future public health challenges. We are focusing on problems, issues that are not having a problem, having a solution at present. So in this session, we will explore the future issue that public health professionals may confront in the future. The discussion will focus on a range of potential challenges, including health inequity, life expectancy in the post-COVID-19 era, and advancements in genetics or digital medicine or advancement of AI, and radical progression of climate change. The purpose of this session is to lay out these diverse issues and explore new meanings and implications without mentioning policy or decision-making discussions. So each of 7 participants will have a chance to present 1 or 2 key issues in their field that they believe will impact public health. Okay, let's get started with Dr. Magda.
Thank you. Now. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. It has been really a pleasure, and thank you for starting an academic discussion with music and dance. What a beautiful thing to do that. That really shows your culture. Thank you for that joy that brings us to our day. So, for the question about the challenges, and I know right here the experts have very different ideas in their own work. I would like to put in the table, and thank you for being the first one, because for me that's a very important challenge that we currently have, but it's going to be also for the future. Let me talk about longevity. We need to start thinking about that right now. Why? I keep on thinking that thanks for public health interventions during the last 100 years, we as a society, as a community, and as a human beings, were able to double life expectancy. That's a huge thing that just in 100 years, we were able to do that. So if we think about what public health measures were in place during the last 100 years, and we think about vaccines, and we think about water sanitation, and we think about everything that really keeps us, living longer in terms of course, the advancement of medicine, and so many other things like seat belts and the environment. And to get to the point right now that we did great, and we should be very proud about that. Now, the only thing is that we added extra years, and that's already a good thing. The challenge, though, is that now what we have is that we want healthy years, not just more years, but we need to really arrive those years to be more healthy. So I think that the current challenge of public health for the future, for the next 100 years, is that what it has to be in place in order to really have really a longer life, a healthy longer life. So that's for me one of the biggest challenges that we have in public health, and I know we're going to talk later about the possible solutions on how we envision that future. But I just wanted to give you also a statistics that the scholars in this topic have saying that the children that are born right now, 50% of them will live to 100 years. 50% of the current population, of the children that are born right now, will live 100 years. So that's a great thing. But the question is, are they going to be healthy? So why do you want to live that long if you are not healthy? So we're going to talk about that. So one challenge that I would like to just put on the table is longevity, and what does really represent to the public health system And then, of course, later also I want to touch in education in terms of what are the competencies that our graduates need to have in order to really, to improve the lives of all the people until 100 years. And the second one, but I'm not sure if somebody's going to touch about that, is of course the challenge of innovation and technology and the rapid way our life is bringing us all this technology and AI, and what is the impact that is taking in our education. So the second point, I think I'm going to be concentrating more in education, because the challenge to all of us which work in the public health schools and programs or medicine, all the health professionals, is that how do we take into consideration these rapid changes if our students are going to be with us just for 2 or 3 years and then they're going to be out there in the world? What are the things that we need to teach them in order for them to keep on always updating their skills and, of course, embracing innovation and technology? So later we want to talk about more like solutions and how ways to put that, but I just want to start and opening the table by saying longevity and AI, it's certainly two of the challenges that we are currently seeing in our field.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Magda. You raised an important question about longevity and innovation technology and advancement of AI. So maybe Dr. Bach, you can have issues which is related to technology, precision medicine, something like that.
Yeah. Hello everyone, I'm Bach from NIH Korea. During last decade, my work focused on big data and gene-based medicine. So today I want to talk about the precision public health. As we look ahead to the future of public health, I believe that the next major advancement will be in preemptive public health. By integrating genomics and advanced data analysis and AI technology, we are able to offer highly personalized prevention strategies tailored to the individual's unique risk profile. This proactive approach has the potential to transform healthcare by preventing disease rather than just treating them. For example, we are close to expanding newborn screening using the whole genome sequencing technology beyond just finding the rare genetic disease. Soon we will be able to detect serious health conditions early in life. So such as those may lead to the life-threatening complications. For chronic disease, we can offer personalized prevention strategies based on the person's lifetime disease risk. This approach will allow us to tailor prevention and intervention strategies specifically to the individual's genetic and environmental risk factors, leading to better health outcome and more efficient health utilization in the long term. In short, precision public health will become a powerful tool in the future, and its impact will extend into the broader scope of public health, I think. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Park, thank you. You seem to push the boundaries of prevention medicine by the advancement of AI. Now, Dr. Bonham.
Yes, good morning to everyone. I'm Dr. Burnham from Johns Hopkins University. We're going to try this one here. So I have something maybe not quite so optimistic. We're looking at what we can achieve with AI, with genetics, with many of the achievements that we've come to become accustomed from in the last 50 or 100 years. But I have several concerns looking forward to the future. And the first one I have is the issue of demographics. And I know that in this region, demographics are very much on people's mind. But what we're seeing is a continuing movement of populations from rural areas to urban areas. And we're seeing population movements from internal or interior areas into coastal areas, where there's much more prosperity than there is in many interior areas. And so we're seeing that probably in the next few years, 65 or 70% of the population of the world will be living within 100 kilometers of the sea. And yet, at the same time, we're seeing the effects of climate change. We're seeing the effects of the warming of the sea temperature. We're seeing the effects of more frequent and more severe storms. And many people are moving into areas that have a low elevation above the mean sea level. So we're seeing a larger population moving into these areas of risk. And so public health has a major concern about how we are going to manage the population health for these groups of people that are increasingly living in densely populated urban areas. At the same time, we're seeing a movement of populations from low-income and middle-income countries into higher-income countries. And in one way, this is a very positive development as we see the workforce in the richer countries aging. On the other hand, there are a lot of social and cultural issues that we have to deal with in the integration of people coming into the richer countries from low-income countries and from different ethnic backgrounds. But this is something I see for the future. We're going to have a major upswing in migration in the world, and I don't think that we're ready to deal with this migration that's coming. Some countries have been famous for accepting migrants, such as my neighbor in Canada on the right here, but even Canada's having a bit of difficulty now deciding how we're going to provide care and education and housing and so forth. So there's a lot of these challenges, and particularly in this region where fertility rates are right at the bottom in the world, we're going to have to deal with some of these issues when we're thinking about expanding the workforce, economic development, and so forth. So not only are we having these issues, but people that immigrate into an area, they often bring diseases and practices and genetic structures and so forth that many countries are not ready to deal with yet. So there's a lot of changes that have to be made regionally as well. Now we're also thinking about the effects of population change on the areas of conflict. And there are a number of regional areas of conflict and instability that are going on, and we're going to see these to be exacerbated in the future, especially if there are economic divides between the richer areas and the poorer areas. These are going to just exacerbate some of these tensions. And we can think about some of them going on right now. We have smoldering issues in Mindanao. We have the problems in Myanmar. At the moment, Bangladesh is without a stable government. We don't know which way things are going for the future. Sri Lanka seems to have recovered from a severe financial crisis, but there are still threats ahead there that we don't fully understand. And then we see right here we have the issues between our neighbors to the north and the potential for conflict there. We already see things coming across the border. We see issues of malaria in Seoul, and many of those mosquitoes that are bringing malaria are crossing from the north without a visa, and they're bringing infections here. Now, malaria is something we can manage, but it could be other things as well. So we have to be aware of future pandemics. We've dealt with some, and I think we can think that we need public health preparedness because certainly we're going to see these for the future. So there's a lot of hopeful things for the future, but there's a lot of concern that public health needs to be looking at now in an anticipatory approach to things. So I hope that today we're going to think about things in anticipation, not only the good things, but also the potential areas where things could go bad.
Okay, Dr. Bonham, thank you. I already asked Dr. Bonham to raise a negative aspect of the future. Because negative aspect of the future brings a positive action for future generations. Okay, now Dr. Jolie, please.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I really want to take 2 seconds to thank our host and the organizer of the meeting. It's been such a wonderful experience for me and such a moving performance this morning. So thank you again for having me and all of us here. You will see that some of the issues I want to talk about are in natural continuation to what some of the previous speakers have mentioned. So my first issue that I would like to mention is that public health and global health are becoming increasingly intertwined. And I think that COVID-19 has been a perfect example of that, where a pandemic has started in Wuhan, China, and in a space of 24 hours, 48 hours, it was becoming almost global so quickly. And the problem with that is that even though, yes, there are international organizations like WHO and others that are working to harmonize practices, to develop plans for preparedness, for incident, pandemics, etc. Those policies are still rather weak in the way that they work. Very often our practices are really dictated not even at the national level in public health, but at the regional level. And there is really a need for better coordination and for the world when there is a crisis, not to turn upon itself, but to really see this as we are all on the same boat. This is a global problem, and how can we face it as a united global planet? And there are challenges to that. One example has been data sharing in times of COVID, which some countries have managed to share data about the virus and about genomic data about patients, for example, very quickly in matters of hours or days, while other ones took months, and other countries never shared any data. And of course, the data is the basis of what you use to do research to find solutions to crises like this. So you can tell how important this is. The second issue that I want to mention, and it's an opportunity as well, is the fact that we still have a very much anthropocentric vision to public health, meaning that we're talking about public health for us humans. And even though, yes, we know that there is an environment crisis, I would say it's more than a crisis. The situation is becoming rather desperate, as Professor Burnham mentioned, regarding some of the environmental crisis and trauma of the planet. And we're not seeing that interrelation between the state of the planet, of the environment, of animals, of microbes, and our own well-being. And we're not really using our medical approaches or scientific approaches to learn from one species to another and to apply this knowledge and really to care for to have a vision of public health where we care for the environment and we care for every part of this environment as much as we care for humans, because we know we're all interrelated, and what we do to one species will have consequences for another one. And so that's something where we can do much better. And even though the dialogue on this has been started at the international level, there is still very few tangible activities regarding things such as One Health or planetary health, and much more of that is needed for public health. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Julie, thank you. You raised very important emerging issues which are related to cross-border data sharing and also anthropocentric vision, which is limited in the future. Okay, let's move to Dr. Kang. Your experience and your career is very interesting. You interconnect electronics with medicine, pharmacy. So could you raise your issue?
Yes. Hi, I am Dr. Sean Kang, and I graduated from medical school and doctor by training, and I had a chance to be in Samsung, and I saw every digital technology they are developing, and I always considered how this technology can be utilized for the humanity and the planetary health. So, so Welt was an in-house venture of Samsung, and it means world in German. So, Welt is a planet, right? And I understood myself that we have 3 rounds for this panel discussion, and the first round is of defining problem, finding a problem, and second is finding solution, and last one is find an action, right? So the first for the first round, I thought about what kind of problem do we have so far, and the problem is simple. Yeah, already we know. So I defined 3 problems here. So one is, yeah, it's very cliche, but chronic disease, the rise of chronic disease. We have to tackle about this, and diabetes and mental health disorder is growing global concern, of course. And these conditions are not only place a huge burden on a healthcare system, but also highlighted the need for prevention and early interventions. So digital health tools like remote monitoring, like AI-driven diagnostics, and offering opportunities to empower patients and makes healthcare more proactive and personalized, like a Galaxy Watch and Galaxy Rings. And the second one is mental health, that what we are caring about, the wealth. The mental health has become a worldwide crisis. The suicidal rate is rising, and more and more the digital technology is developing, and people feel oneness in themselves. So with the stigma and barriers to treatment are immense, but digital platforms can help by offering scalable and on-demand solutions. And the last one is health equity and accessibility. So the health inequity remains a major issue globally, and with many people lacking access to quality healthcare so far until now, and while digital health holds the potential to bridge this gap, we must also address issues like digital literacy and the infrastructure, and especially in rural resource area and country. So AI and digital technology will help and tackle this kind of issues. And yeah, that's all. And yeah, I'll address some next issues after this round 2. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kang. You raised also an important emerging issue, digital medicine. It sounds interesting, so I expect more discussion from you. And then move to Dr. Chu. Yeah, could you share your ideas?
Okay. Basically, I'm the professor of the university, Taipei Medical University. The university is the expertise and focusing on the medical aspect, the research and the teaching. And right now, I have another appointment in the National Health Research Institute. This is a think tank for the government. So I have the global mind to look at the public health issue within the country. As we know, the public health more focused on the within the one nation. They are the health problem. And the global health might be the more than two countries to look at. They have the common and the different public health problem. And as our participants say, the longevity is the common challenge of the world. A paper in Lancet published 2021, they do analysis around the 200 country and the global fertility problem. They expected in the next 50 years, all countries of the world, their total fertility rate will be less than 2. What the 2 mean is, you know this one, you have another new generation to replace the old generation. So all the countries of our planet, we're facing the longevity problem. Longevity problem, the main issue is the old people, as the Taiwan's experience, they cost 3/4 the financial resources compared with the general population. They need more drug, they need more treatment, they need more screening. But you know, as you say, the AI or the new technology, we have provided immune therapy, cellular therapy, they cost a lot. So the public health, the issue is how we deal with the financial crisis facing in each country, either in the high-income country or the low-income country. So health promotion, how to promote health promotion, increase the health literacy in our residents is very important. It means if we can have the good health literacy, there might be the capability to adopt a new knowledge, new attitude, to have the appropriate treatment solution, and they can lower down the instance or postpone the instance, and then maybe we have the healthy life expectancy, not only just longer the life expectancy. So this is a public health, the first issue. And the second issue I look at is the health inequality. Within the country, even in a small country like Taiwan, we have the aboriginal area. And we also have the migrant health problem. Yeah, this kind of people, they have not the equal chance to receive the high-tech treatment or the novel drug to treat their disease, especially the oncologist or the NCD. And within the global aspect, you can see when during the COVID-19 pandemic era, high-income country, they have more money, more powerful to buy the vaccine. But even the WHO provide a COVAX platform. A lot of countries, they are shortage for the vaccine coverage. So this is the very strict issue in the public health or global health, how to provide a more equality platform to let all the country have the equal opportunity to have the treatment opportunity possibility when we facing the next emergent infectious disease coming. So public issue is how to have the equal supply chains for the vaccine production or the delivery system is a public health issue important. Okay, this is my watching and observation. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Chu, thank you. And you raised also important issue which is related to financial issues. I feel we just dive into the more uncertain future. So, Dr. Kusumayati, yeah, please.
The more we talk about the future, the more fear we get. That's my feeling. That's my feeling after hearing all the thoughts of our colleagues just now. So for me, that's what public health will face in the near future or in the future. We will have more gap in terms of equity, not only because of economic situation, but for me, the more important thing is dealing with the political situation, the geopolitics. The geopolitics situation will not only affect the country that involved in the, let's say, in such a problem, but whole the world. We are now really in very, very deep fear that we are going to face the next world war. because we cannot stop the war in one or other, in several parts of the world, and all of the world will affect. So that is what I see, that the geopolitical situation will really affect public health. And that situation will also affect many things. For example, when Dr. Chu said about how during the pandemic we try to save our own self, and then we start to think about resilience. Every nation start thinking of their own resilience, and we become distance each other. Then that's dangerous. The dangerous situation of public health of the world. Because as everybody already said, Dr. Jan also said, one health. We are not living alone in this world. We also live together with other creators in this world. So, to me, this is the more fierce situation. The political situation that will affect not only in individual countries, but also to the world, to the whole world. How public health can take part to, to make peace in the world, so that the people can live healthy and wealthy. So that's my concern after hearing all the very fierce situation in the future. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Kusumayati, you raised a kind of better future vision of public health. Now let's move to, as I said, a more uncertain future by combining your issues. So my second question to you, now we have open discussion, you can jump in. The second question to you, how do you think these issues are interconnected? And what new challenges might arise from their convergence? We raised social and economic disparities and inequity and climate-induced displaced population and digital medicine. So you can cluster or you can interconnect, you can combine these issues into a new, Julie, please.
I think maybe a good place to start, although we should do this quickly because we're kind of late on the ball, is really information sharing and capacity building and education, because that's really where it all starts. We had this tendency in the past, I mean, coming from the western part of the world, to think, well, there's a problem in another country, we'll just go fix it, we'll help them. But it doesn't work that way. You really need to empower communities, people, and to pass this information to then activate it at the domestic level so that they can themselves make this information their own and find their own ways. So in a way, it's no longer necessarily a top-down approach only, but it's this kind of bilateral approach that continually flows from one country to the other country, where we pass on this information, we're there to help to build the capacity, but then the receiving country develop their own capacity, their own way of thinking about the problem, and feeds it back to others. And it's this loop of information, I would say. And we have AI, and that's where AI gets into this as well, to make these types of intercommunication much easier if you use it in the right way. And again, AI feeds on data, so the more data circulate, the better it can be for AI if we do this properly. So that would be a suggestion of maybe common things between our issues, ways that we can address or start addressing some of this.
I just had a concern that what we're also seeing is in many parts of the world, we have developed a scientific elite that understands these issues, that talks to itself, that makes decisions based upon its understanding, and it's not communicating its rationale, it's not communicating its beliefs and its understanding to the wider population. So we're almost developing a polarized society to those who believe in science and those who reject sciences. And we're going to deal with a number of public health issues as a consequence of this, unless we can get people to communicate in the same way from top to bottom, and to have communities and the population to understand the issues more fully than they are in many places now. So I see that as a big barrier for the future.
I just want to add that you make me think, Agustin, that it could be very pessimistic thinking about the future, but what is making us having hope for the future is actually the young generation. And I can see in this auditorium a lot of young professionals, a lot of students. I think the future, we have hope in the future because of all of you. And one thing that I would like to say is that that's why it's such important to address in education, especially in public health education and health professionals, all the so-called soft skills, that for me those are the most important skills, but how about communication and resilience and the way, the negotiation, health diplomacy, and really be empathetic about the others. I think that all the issues that we just raised here, because you're gonna be the ones who are gonna be more confronting them and trying to get to the solutions, that will only be possible if we are better humans. And I think that our students have that capacity, and they are showing us, the potential to advocate and to be passionate. So the more we invest in the soft skills of our students, and the earlier we start, the better, that is what I think is going to be having hope in the future.
And I also want to point out another issues. Previously, the public health issue was mainly policy-based and provided-based. But the present public health, I already mentioned before, and the AI and many technologies, I think the world will be changed. So I think that there is a strong possibility that the preventive medicine will be evolved toward a more customer-based approach in the future. So as Laura mentions, the education to the public is another big issue. And already the panelists pointed out, this customer-based focused approach will empower individuals to take more active role in managing their own health issues. But we have significant concern about the health disparity. So in an aging areas, the elderly people and digitally vulnerable population exists. So how now we have focused on how to reduce this health disparity in the based on new technology. I think, yeah.
Okay, Dr. Park raised an important issue. So my question to Dr. Jolie or Dr. Kang, I heard digital medicine from Dr. Kang and genomics from Dr. Jolie. So how could digital medicine and genomics converge to personalize health intervention? Is it possible, and is there any other risk or problems or opportunities?
Genomic data is the most important data. It's a key of how we can understand the subject and the person. And the data is now generating in many kind of some types and works. So SMP is the smallest one, and the whole genome sequencing is the most bulky one. But the processing the data and storing the data was an issue so far. But I don't know what will be in the future, but so genetic data is a start, and how to understand is the subject. That's what I'm saying. And but it's not enough, because knowing the genetic data is not the all. So that is just start, and we have to make an intervention. So we have to change their some lifestyles, and we have to recommend which some actionable insight can be offered to the subject after that. And so the data should be integrated and in my data set. So not a big data. Big data is, I think big data is useless in the future. So my data is a key, and my data is the full package to understand one subject with one service. So my data policy should be set in every country. And on-device AI, so this mobile device will be the definer, the solution about storing and processing those kind of data, every data. So genetic data can come into the device, and the on-device AI, like Apple Intelligence. So AI is processing the data inside in your phone. It doesn't have to be sent to the central storage like a cloud at all. Cloud is safe, but the consciousness, so people think cloud is very fragile and very dangerous. Yeah, I understand that, but the mobile device, the device which is held in your hand is feel like some bolt, and the storaging and processing will be occurred in the device itself, and the AI doctor agent will make some great solution for one by one in every second and real time, every some decision point, like a doctor in your smartphone.
Yes, so I will start by a bit of a word of caution. I would say that precision health is not just about genetics and genomics. I think we really have to understand that genomics data just by itself doesn't tell you that much. You need this data to be carefully curated, and you need to have all kinds of other metadata on the person to really fully interpret it well and really use it to its full power. And also, these days, we're starting to think about integrating genomics with other types of health data in polygenic risk score and risk prediction algorithms. So it's really a combination of information. And let's not forget that even that should not, make us stop thinking about socioeconomic determinant of health, which remain extremely interesting. I also feel I need to give a word of caution about the applications you mentioned and the potential for the AI doctor. I think the potential is huge, and I think we will eventually get there. But the transition worries me, because it's already here, actually. You have it on the internet. It's available to everybody nowadays, and it's incredibly tempting. I was hearing yesterday during the day many presentations talking about how the first line of healthcare systems in a country like South Korea or my country, Canada, our doctors don't have the time anymore for patients. So what do patients do? They go on the internet and they use symptom checkers and things like that, which actually will very often increase some of these issues. So we have to be very careful as we're moving in this era of personalized medicine, AI, that we do this in a way that is not gonna basically have a painful transition period that might alienate even more people from the public health system. We were mentioning how already there are some divide across population and countries, with some people being very much aware and very much following the good practices and other ones not. I'm afraid this gap is going to widen if we try to move too fast and without proper safeguards.
Yeah, it definitely is an emerging issue, a more personalized healthcare system, but it has opportunities, also risk at the same time. Okay, before we go to a second round, a second session, yeah, okay.
I will emphasize, follow this, the two participant opinion. With the low cost for next generation sequencing in the future, everybody can very easy to get their whole genome sequencing data. But as they say, the information security is very important. For Taiwan, our people, most of the people, they don't want to be sequencing their data. Yeah, we are very difficult to get the informed consent from them. If you have some disease you need to treat, then you will be willing to sign. But for the general population, they don't want to be sequencing. So AI or next generation sequencing will in the future for the precision health or precision medicine, I agree, but there are a long way to go. We need to have the more safety ecosystem. And the other, we will emphasize genetics not the major important for our disease pattern, especially oncology or the NCD, because lifestyle might be more prominent, the factor, dominant factor than the genetic. We have do a lot of the disease prediction model using the genomic marker. And we saw you maybe include more than 30, 40 SNP, and you just experiment maybe 5% or 6%. But for the public health aspect, you quit the cigarette smoke, you do the exercise, you have a healthy habit, you might be accounted the disease prediction maybe 50%. So in the future, I agree, precision health, we need the AI and need the genetic, but we do not overemphasize its effect because it costs a lot, very expensive. So we, from the public health aspect, in the future, we need to discuss and how to use it appropriately for the information. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Thank you. But I think that the genomic medicine will be a powerful tool in the near future. So already many countries increase the number of whole genome sequencing in their own population. As you know, the UK is one of the frontier countries. They already started the national program for genetic medicine service, especially for cancer and rare disease. Now they expand to the newborn screening program. And the UK has the National Genome Data Center. So now the Genomic England is responsible for data storage. Anyways, in our experience, at least 3 or 4% the population will be directly benefit from the whole genome sequencing to find the secondary finding for the genetic cancer or cardiomyopathy. So it is really helpful. Anyways, the whole genome sequencing is not applied to the medical service in Korea yet, but this year, Korea launched the National Bio Big Data Project for 1 million people. So that means that in the near future, so we will have the whole genome sequencing data about 1 million. So it will be facilitated gene-based medicine. Anyways, the other issue, generally, your research focused on the ethical issues that we faced, how to handle this genomic data. Anyway, the Korean government to consider the National Genome Center or etc. for who is responsible for the genomic data for medical service. Anyway, we consider another issue is that how to avoid the genetic discrimination. So because genomic data is very sensitive and personal data, and it can use it to another issues. Yeah, that's my comment.
Yeah, I just want to add small things, but maybe important. All the advance in science and technology includes also in AI, genomics. We have to use all we have to narrow the inequity. So how we use all the advances in technology and science to increase equal access to healthcare and health needs for all people. How all things that we know, the new technology can increase delivery system, equal access to health financing, for example. So we have to keep in our mind that whatever we have to do our best to narrow the inequity, so that every people may may get their rights to live healthy and to live wealthy. Thank you.
Okay, let me ask Dr. Bonham my last question before the second round, because Dr. Kusumayati leads the kind of another question, which is related to climate-induced migration or technology might exacerbate health inequalities. What do you think about it?
I missed the last part of the question. Yeah.
Okay, could climate-induced migration
Yeah, migration.
migration, and also technology exacerbate health inequalities?
Yeah. Well, I think the areas of migration are really critical areas, and I think that many countries are really depending upon the skills that migration brings. And although opportunities are not evenly distributed, human capacity is evenly distributed in the world, and we're not taking advantage of that. And so I think we have to get more selective in the migration process, and to be able to carry this out without creating tensions and fears and stigma and so forth. So that's one of the things that I think countries are, and I think Korea is already, we're seeing some of the development there. To some extent, we're seeing this in Japan, a bit slower, certainly in Canada as well. But if one sees where the talent is coming from that's developing the new technology in many countries, this is migration that's developing these. And just an example, many of you will have an Apple computer or an Apple telephone, and the developer of Apple, Steve Jobs, his father was a refugee from Syria, avoiding the warfare in Syria. And we see many other examples of this. So I think that in the high-tech area, particularly, we need to be aware of the talent that is out there that we could acquire. We need to be advocates for being able to identify these people and to encourage their participation in the global economy, and to try to sidestep some of the difficulties and stigma that we're seeing. And this is an uphill task, and I'm not sure how we're going to do this, but it's a gradual process. It's kind of learning by doing, but I see this as the future for many of the areas of technology that we're talking about, and we certainly see this in AI and other areas as well. So this is something that I think public health, and particularly high technology, is very concerned about, and we should be advocates in this area.
Okay, thank you. Very various and important emerging issues that you raised. And then we move to round two, shaping the future vision of public health. This session will focus on how the future issues discussed earlier may impact the vision of public health. So the aim is to explore what an effective and robust vision for the future of public health should look like. in response to those various changes and challenges. More importantly, this session will encourage participants not only to consider how public health professionals can adapt to changes, but also how they can lead the way in shaping a better future by collaborating with diverse sectors of society to create meaningful change. So I think we can start from Dr. Jolie because you raised and you criticized anthropocentric vision is limiting in the future. So could you share your vision?
So yes, regarding this issue of thinking only about humans, I think that when we think about public health, I think one way to move forward would have to be an approach to surveilling the health of population, animals, and environment simultaneously. And genomics can help us do that. There's a great genomic and epigenomics technique which can really help us find out how the environment can impact the genome, and also where we can detect the effect of microbe through microbiomics, for example, and how microbes live with the human body and the impact of one on another. And these sorts of techniques, we don't use them to their full potential. Or when we do, it's in really pocket area, for example, in the US, where this kinds of genomic surveillance is used. But what we need to do is develop portable technology to do that kind of surveillance and make it affordable so that it's not just used in the Western world, but in developing country as well. And from a policy standpoint, what we need to do is really be One Health advocate at the national level. Because right now, as I mentioned, One Health has been quite well developed, and other similar area I've mentioned, planetary health as well. So we have quite good international principle on how those kinds of approach should take up and what we should consider to do this. But implementing those big principles as somebody that's been trained in law in very tangible domestic policies, very little work has been done here. And that's why many people and many public health services, like in my country, if you go to the website of Public Health Canada, they will say One Health is the way to go. It's the perfect approach. It's great, but it's buzzword. Then when you look at what is done concretely on the ground, very little. So we need to be advocate for change on that. And it's also at the level I had mentioned the problem of the data and how the approaches was not well coordinated sometime between countries, how we have a fragmented vision of public health instead of a global vision. Here again, there's a lot of work to do on policies. There's a WHO pandemic treaty that is not being delivered. We keep on pushing it back because we don't put enough pressure on our governments to sign on these things. And yet it's really important, and it might be a way to more equity towards developing countries as well. So that's another, I think, key approach that we need to push on is these global treaties that really could even out the power relationship between the developed and developing world.
Yeah, Dr. Burnham, yeah.
I just wanted to add something very briefly, and what you mentioned triggered a number of thoughts here. One of the things in public health, I think it selects out people who are good communicators. Maybe it selects people who are good with data and good with thinking, and maybe not necessarily the people that are good communicators. And so as we think about how we have to reshape public health for the future, one of the particular areas is the area of how do we communicate. And how we communicate now is often articles in obscure journals that nobody reads, and or we think we can convince the politicians with p-values, and we don't do very well at that. And so what I've been seeing recently in public health school curriculums are required courses in advocacy. So teaching people how to speak up for their beliefs and what their principles and what they're learning and how to communicate more effectively. So as I think we're reshaping our curricula and our skills for the future, that's where I think we need to put much more emphasis on, because we're communicating in a way that was okay maybe 50 years ago, but doesn't match the TikTok age quite so well as it needs to.
Okay. You suggested a kind of community-based approach and communicating to normal people. Okay. Other participants? Okay.
About the vision. Yeah, I can add a little bit. And going back to my two original challenges, and I would like to elaborate the vision in those. So I talk first about lifespan, lifelong longevity. And I think that if we think about that, I think public health has to continue pushing to change the model that we have in the health systems, I think around the world, because most of our health systems are based on not actually health system, but disease systems. Because you only go to the system when you have a disease, when you're sick, not when you're healthy. I don't know why even the name. It should be like, disease system, no, not health system. But we should change to actually health systems. Health systems from a public health perspective, and thinking about longevity, has to be really a lifespan system, where the system needs to really serve the people all the way from the even pre-birth until aging, of course, but in a constant way of how can you improve your well-being and your health all along the way. Has to do about prevention, and you talk a lot about preventive medicine, have to do about prevention, about health promotion. So I think that the systems, and somebody talk about finance, should be more in that as opposed to, and of course we need to continue developing medicine and lab, all of that. Yes, I'm not against that. But remember that we are right now putting most of the money there, while really we need to prevent, the people illness. And if we're going to be living longer life, we better do that, because there's not going to be any money in any country that could afford a system just for the disease. So for my first point is just like, I think we need to re-envision the health systems in order to be more preventive, more lifespan and health promotion, in order to ensure that people in all ways they thrive, and in all the ages, not just in the silos that we have right now. And usually we have just more of a disease center, like chronic disease, infectious disease, or health of the women, instead of having really a lifespan view of health and well-being. So that's more like in the health system perspective. I also would like to touch in the education system, which most of us works in schools of public health or in medicine. And I think that we really need to re-envision education. And again, because people are going to be living longer, so we need to think that education is not that you come to our schools for a 2-year degree, 3-year, 4-year, and then you're gone. But now we really need to have a new social contract with the students that are going to be really in our educational system for all their lives. Why? Because there's a new concept right now that's starting to pop up, which is a 60-year curriculum. Why 60-year curriculum? Because if we're going to be living for 100 years, more or less we're going to be working for 60 years. And we need to be really working until 75, 80 years in order to just make it for the, enough money for retirement, right? So if we think about 60-year active life, then we need to come back to education, because there's no way that if I have a degree when I was 20 years old or 22 years old, and then when I'm 50 years old, of course that my skills are going to be totally different. The needs of the population is changing, the world is changing so rapidly that the new contract has to be a long life contract to education. It's not 2 years, it's not 3 years, it's long life. It's 20 years, it's 30 years, it's 40 years of education. So we need to change the way we're looking at the students. So we, the faculty, are going to become more mentors for the whole life, as opposed to teachers for one course in one semester. So I think that we need to just stop and think, what are the implications for our whole educational system in the era of longevity and in an era of rapid changes and technology and innovation and new challenges that are really facing our society?
Dr. Laura mentioned about the longevity, and the vision I hope to mention is that already discussed before. So the vision of public health is to build a future where everyone, regardless of age and socio-economic background or locations globally, can access the benefit from the advancement in precision public health is my vision. So achieving this goal, so we need as many public health policy and legal framework and cooperation with many community organizations and health professionals, I think.
I just wanted to pick up on something that Laura was talking about, and that's the curriculum in public health. And what I've seen in my university for the undergraduates, and I'm not involved with undergraduates, but the largest single major is public health. So we're now seeing large numbers of students doing public health as an undergraduate degree, and only less than half of those people will go on to do a career in health. So I overheard an engineering professor who is now taking graduate students who've taken public health, and he said, you know, a few years ago, I never heard about gender equity. And now I hear about gender equity all the time. And that's because the students doing engineering have had some background in public health. So I really think that this is something that we should think about approaching for the future, is even people not doing careers in public health, how do we infiltrate some of these basic principles, these ideas that we've developed over the years in public health, and get them into other areas, and so they become a natural way of thinking about issues, even though ostensibly they're not formally public health.
The education. So I studied medicine, but public health is not a different thing. So this is continuing the story in one person. So when I learned medicine in medical school, I always curious about why it is happening. So the medicine and public health is the same one, I believe, and we are reverse engineering the human body and mind as an academy. And for the policy, I had a chance to be in Ministry of Health in Korea. And policy feels like a drug to feeding the country. So the weak country, strong country, it has a different problem. Every country has a different problem, like a disease, and we have to develop a drug for the country. That is a public health policy. That's what I'm understanding. And there is two drugs we have to develop from now on for every country. One is connectivity, and the other is continuity. So connectivity and continuity is my vision. So we have public health and medicine was disconnected, and doctor and patient are disconnected. And this continuity is always a problem to see the big picture and full view about the problem. And my data, I said this former round, I think is some grand cohort. We always love about building the cohort and do the cohort study. The cohort study is very disconnected and discontinued. The one surveillance in once a year with the same person, and we do that thing in 30 years, okay. But it's very lack of information and it's very disconnected. But digital can fill the gap in every second, every hour, 24/7, with that kind of some method, and we can build a huge, some perfect court. I can imagine that. It's my vision. So, and we have to. We can from that thing we can reverse engineer the empty area that we are not knowing yet. And for chronic disease, what I mentioned the former round, we built the CGM for diabetes, continuous glucose monitoring. Glucose monitoring was disconnected, but continuous glucose monitor means continuous, right? And every Apple Watch and Galaxy Watch has a blood pressure monitor. Yeah. And it's continuous blood pressure monitor actually. So BPV, we call that, blood pressure variability. So far, we measured blood pressure in stable status, which is lowest blood pressure. That is why we set the 0 point. How can I say that? We always set the 0 point to find out which person has a potential risk for the hypertension or not with the lowest blood pressure. But you know, every event occur in the highest blood pressure, right? So there is kind of assumption and lack of technology. I'm sorry, but from now on, we are possible to utilize that kind of technology, BPV. So we can find the fluctuating and the delta of the blood pressure in continuous setting, in community setting. And for the mental, we use the AI. The mental disease is very easy because we don't need any sensor for that. The AI directly go into the mental, right? So AI agent can ask and can get an answer and can diagnose what kind of mental problem that one subject has. And for insomnia, we are already developed and got approval from the Korean FDA. Is prescribable from doctor to the patient who is suffering with insomnia. And for insomnia, we have lots of data around them. We are building the insomnia patient cohort, something like this. The weather is not good. We have high possibility to have trouble in the going to bed in that night. But we do have already have a weather data in the weather app, right? And taking coffee in the afternoon is not good. We know that, but we already have a coffee, it's a credit card usage data or Samsung Pay in the smartphone already. So we can ask the person how we'll use this kind of data for certain purpose, and if someone is get an approval for that, we can use that. We can analyze that, and after that, what we do is taking a prediction. Yeah, AI is doing that. AI is a statistist. We dump the data and we ask them. The AI analyze and find a result. It's simple. We have to check it, but they gave a result, and we ask this kind of question: would I sleep well tonight? Would this person sleep well tonight? If no, we can recommend take one sleep pill just 1 hour before go to bed, like this. And for the heart attack, we have a blood pressure monitor. Who knows in the future? So connectivity, continuity is always will fill the gap what we had so far, and we can make a vision with that kind of some effort, I believe. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Kang, you challenge and expand the boundaries of public health vision. I don't know whether public health experts like it or not from aspect of engineers and data scientists, but I'm sure that public health experts should consider his opinions. And Dr. Chu and Dr. Kusmayati, okay, vision, and we can have a break.
I think the challenge, if we want to set a public health vision, there are different levels. For the WHO, for the global wise, they may provide a vision is health equity, one health, something like, and the good or long life expectancy. But the different country, they needed to set a different vision. For high-income country, all the medical resource can support comprehensive country, the different vision. Like the Taiwan, we might be the vision is longer, healthy life expectancy. And let everybody have the equal opportunity to get the suitable treatment, even in drug or medical care. But if you want to set up the right vision under your country for the public health expertise or the student, we need to train them how to do the data collection. Just like Dr. Kang say, you need we can provide free the watch or any wireless equipment to collect data, but public health people need to know this data might not be quality enough to do the right analysis. There are some factors you need to know. And the other thing is, if we want to provide any solution to solve or achieve our vision, you need to help with a different stakeholder. And you can remind, the public health definition is the art and the science. Science is very solid. You need to have the good data and do the good analysis and raise the question. But if you want to solve the question, you need to join every stakeholder. So our students need to know the AI, so it have to ability to communicate with the engineering to discuss how the AI model can fulfill your purpose. And you also need to communicate with the bioinformatics scientists, because the AI needs the big data, the variety data, but if you know the data quality, you can have the language with the engineering. They can help you to provide the big data bank or big data quality. So the public health student, we needed to train them. So the communication skill is very important. And you need to have the global view. So you need to strengthen the different expertise domain knowledge. Then you can, maybe you use, you might be the project manager to coordinate different stakeholders, like the medicine, like the genetic expert, and like the health education expert. So we train our public health student to own this kind of domain knowledge and skill in the near future, and then we have the possibility to solve the problem or the vision. Okay, thank you.
I dream that in the future, with all the science, technology, and arts that we have, we can empower everyone in public health in such a way so that every leaders at every level, at the global level, regional level, as well as at national level, They put into consideration public health and health of the people in every decision and action that they want to do. Public health also, all leaders and all decision makers in every sectors also put into consideration public health when they are going to make any decision. Those who are working in industry also put public health as one of their main consideration when they are going to develop something, they are going to produce something, they are going to introduce some new technology to the people, so health is one of the main consideration. And last but not least, of course, every individuals, every community, they are empowered in public health in such a way so they have the capacity, the willingness, the ability to live healthy. That's my dream. Thank you.
Dr. Kusumati, you beautifully summarized the vision that we shared together. Okay, now let's take a break, 10 minutes, and then we're gonna do a third round and panel discussion, floor discussion. So please come back 11:38. Okay, let's have a 10 minutes break. Please come back 11:38. Okay, now we're gonna take a round 3, taking action to implement the future vision of public health. And the last 30 minutes, we're gonna introduce, we're gonna invite the audience to take part in the discussion. So Dr. Kusumayati will moderate the floor discussion. Please come back and join the discussion. Before that, we're going to have a round 3 discussion. So actually, as Dr. Kusumayati said, that the more future we forecast, the more depressed we feel. I 100% agree with her idea. But also, I agree that we can create alternative and policy action to change. So if we can change and we can make an action, maybe the future will be better. So this round 3 focuses on taking action to implement the vision of public health. So let's start from Dr. Magda. What's your action?
Thank you so much. First of all, let me start with something that triggers me, the comments that Dr. Burnham was saying in terms of everyone needs to know about public health 101, at least public health 101. So what do I envision for the future is that we have content, a course from kindergarten to high school that's called something around like Public Health 101. What is that every single citizen needs to know about well-being and about health. And of course, it's great that I'm seeing that the undergraduate is growing, as you were saying, and that's a great thing because as you're referring, imagine that in every single profession, everyone has a public health lenses. That would be awesome, that if the engineers and the lawyers and everybody else could think about their own professions, but with a public health lenses. So let's do more of that, having really undergraduates in everywhere taking public health courses. And then, of course, if we think about, because we still need our master's and doctoral degree in public health, how do I envision education? And I'm going to be just referring right now to education. So I think that education has to really, we need to really transform the way we do things in our schools of public health. One is that if we already know that everyone learns differently and the content should be more like competency-based and not content-based, then we should allow for people to arrive to our schools and programs to wherever they are and just taking a test or something in order to assess them where they are and take them the competencies that they need in order to finalize their degrees and then go out. So that means that education it shouldn't be like you have to be here for 2 years and just sitting down in this chair for how many hours, because that's not based in competencies. That's based in hours, that the number of hours you need to be sitting in a chair. As opposed to that, we need to really change to a real competency-based education. We all talk about competency-based education. Well, competency-based education requires that you demonstrate your competency. And it might be that I take longer to develop the competency that you might be. So as long as we both achieve the competency, it doesn't matter that I spend 20 hours and you spend 2 hours, then when you reach the competency, then you're out. So we need to start really thinking about different ways of instruction in our schools and programs. We also need to be thinking about embracing different ways of learning, because we all learn in different settings. Community-based learning, that's such an important thing. We always talk in public health about community. Well, we need to give more credit to learning in the community and with the community, and that's as good or even better than to be sitting in a classroom, because you're learning with the community. So thinking more widely about what are the ways that we can learn, practicum, internships. You were talking about the global health. I think that the best way to really embrace global health is just to actually be living in another country. This is my first time in Korea, and I have already learned so many things here. So the best way to learn any country is just to be in that country. So we need to push for more exchanges in internships of our students to be outside, so they will be really learning what it means to be with others and what kind of, of other values exist. So thinking about that, of course, assessing, evaluation should be different. In our education should be really focused on competencies. And let me just finalize by just saying that methodology, the learning methodology should be concentrated in engagement of the students. The cognitive science already is telling us that the only way to learn something is to be engaged in that, in whatever the learning is. So our classrooms will be really different, just engaging the students. And I say classrooms, but I mean also online education, community-based, whatever the learning scenarios are. And let me end by a very important thing, faculty. Because now, we used to be thinking that the only way to teach somebody just to be, talking. But we need to learn to different roles right now. We are designers, we are architects of the education scenarios. We need to be spending more time just developing the scenarios where the students are going to be learning. We need to be mentoring them more, we need to be coaching them more, as opposed to just be teaching. So, just to summarize, I think that the future is, all of these things that I have been saying right now, all of that is possible. We just need to have the will, the willingness to do it, the political will, of course, the structure in the universities, in the schools of public health, to really just do it. And one of the ways that that's important to share information, for example, in the global network and here, is just because we can share what we are doing around the world, and we can do it together.
Take action to implement the future vision. So I want to focus on the precision public health. Anyways, I already mentioned about health, to reduce the health disparity. To achieve the future of, to get this goal, it is essential to implement the specific policy and strategy focused on addressing this one. The first, we need a comprehensive health equity policy. Anyway, so the Korean government is also focusing on the technology development itself. So current states, we do not focus on this health policy to reduce health equity is another issue. The next one is the legal framework, also crucial to protect the right of vulnerable populations. Anyways, so recently high technology focused on the patient itself, but already mentioned, it costs too much. So how the health insurance system or legal framework reduce this disparity, it is another issue. The third one is the role of health professionals. Actually, I'm not the public health professional. My background is cardiologist. So anyways, what will be the major role of a public health professional in this future field? I hope that it should be discussed in the letters. The next one is anyway, it should be, we need a partnership with the many public health agency or communicating and technology developer like Samsung, so to reduce the health disparity. And so we need many infrastructure as the more technology that is open to all, not to only the rich people or some specific person. So we can discuss later, I think.
So I think it's my job to bring up the negative things, so it seems to happen. And so I'm going to bring up what I call amnesia. I'm not going to call it dementia, I'm going to call it amnesia. And some of you may recall, if you think hard enough, that we had a COVID epidemic not long ago. And yet, when one looks at the program here and other programs as well, we don't spend much time trying to further distill the concepts and the ideas and the experiences that we developed during COVID-19, and certainly Korea has a lot of lessons that they can share to the rest of the world out of this epidemic. But what I'm really getting at is when we're moving forward, the thing that we learn from COVID-19 is we need to be better at developing resilience. And this is resilience of systems, resilience of organizations, and resilience of individuals. And resilience is not just having enough air pressure in the football so it bounces around, but there's a number of components to resilience. There's, can we continue as an organization to function in the face of a shock or trauma in some way? Can we adopt new methods to face the reality that is now obtaining or occurring? And then how can we reorganize ourselves quickly to continue to be functional organizations in a new environment? And I think what we're seeing as we move forward is an increase in the speed of change. And that's often difficult for humans and for organizations to accomplish. And so looking at an emphasis on resilience, building the capacity to change quickly, to continue to perform in new circumstances, I see this as a major role for public health that we really haven't addressed fully as we should. And there's a number of areas there when we start thinking about new technology. How do we develop a resilience to function in a new technical environment? And particularly we're thinking about how do we develop resilience in communities. So communities can adapt to new circumstances. Communities can develop their own methods of survival in some of these situations, not dependent on governments and other organizations. So I see that as the real challenge as we move forward, is how do we build resilience? And this is not just an accident, this is a science. This is something that requires a framework. This is something that requires maybe a mini curriculum to do. And I think that's one of our major areas that we need to emphasize, and not only in our educational programs, but in our organizations as well, to prepare us for the changes that we're going to see in the next remaining years of this century.
Thank you. So you've heard me complain a lot earlier about the lack of harmonization and coordinated approach at the global level. So I have a very concrete solution for that, especially in my field, the field of genomics. I'm part of an organization called the Global Alliance for Genomics and Health. And that organization is actually a very large organization. We have more than 500 members, and those members are institutions or big pharmaceutical company, biopharma, everyone is dedicated to working on developing standards and public policy for the use and sharing of genomic and health information. And I really would like more representative from the global community, because of course when these organizations start, it tend to be dominated by some Western nation. We've been pushing really recently to increase the diversity of our members. And so if you want to be part of the important people that are going to be developing policies for the future of genomics and public health, I think that this organization is definitely a must. And it's really based on open science principles, so everybody can participate to the discussion, everybody can contribute to the development of standards. And we need these standards. They're both bioinformatics standards to basically agree on the way that we organize, collect, protect our data, and also public policy and ethical standard to make sure that all the proper safeguards are in place, which is so important when we share data with the community and when we want to share it broadly. And we have a very progressive vision where we really are interested in using some of the latest technological tools that we've been discussing this morning in order to be both efficient and secure in this data sharing process. I've also mentioned about One Health and the importance of One Health for the future of public health. Here again, I have a very concrete, I think, topic that I think we need to consider much more seriously, and it's the topic of data samples and just data as information. And I think we really need to have a global regime of how we can share data, collect data, and also the same thing for samples. And some of you probably will say, well, we have a way to do it. And of course we do, but it's, again, not very harmonized across the world. And it's also very inequitable right now to developing countries. We tend to go and collect samples, collect data in these countries, and yet when comes the time for them to have access to vaccine, as we've seen with COVID-19, all of a sudden things are no longer working out, and it's the developed world that have access to those medication. So there are problems, and the problem starts at the beginning of the chain. If we're going to be collecting data, if we expect these countries to share information with us rapidly, we have to find a way to make this a fair deal for them so that they don't feel that they're forgotten in the equation, because then they no longer want to share data. And we've been hearing a lot these days in my country, for example, about data sovereignty, where some community groups, which have had bad experience with researchers, now no longer want to give their data. They're basically saying, no, we don't trust you anymore. We want to keep ownership of the samples and information that we give you. And I can understand that, but it also makes things extremely difficult for research. And it also can have the impact of marginalizing these communities if they are no longer participating in research. So it's a really important struggle, and if you take this in a global perspective, we still have much to go in terms of defining an equitable regime for everyone. And lastly, I just want to take you up, Dr. Burnham, on a very interesting thing you said earlier when you said, I think that every population health scientist should also be an advocate. And I'm just going to finish by saying, I'm not sure everyone should be an advocate, but everyone should be a good science communicator. I've struggled myself with that notion of, should a scientist also be an advocate? I think a scientist really needs to be a good communicator in public health. I think that's the must.
Yeah. Now my brain works because coffee has come, so good for us, maybe. Yeah. I believe the future is not free. So we have to set a certain vision, and we have to push our presence to the future with the policy. So for the digital healthcare and some digital things in the future, we definitely need the policy for the update. The update is the last keyword I have to remain this stage. So for the autonomous driving, the version 1 is not good, right? But someday we believe the autonomous driving will made in the future, and there is lots of update and gathering the data and analyzing data is the Tesla and other some technology companies put the effort on it, right? So digital health is the same, but we have to see the three different things in detail. The one is safety, the second is efficacy, and the last one is cost effectiveness. So three things is the detail for the update, and Korean FDA and US, German, and Japan. So far, yeah, the 4 country has some digital health and digital therapeutics and AI, some medicine. For that, they made a regulation in FDA regulation for that, and they always accept and update their regulation too, and they are trying to find some fast track to validate the safety and efficacy in every update in the technology. And so we need that to make the future as a reality in the policy. And cost effectiveness is important for to persuade the policymaker, but in the other side, we need an incentive for that. So if the update made a value, and if the update is good for the humanity, the developer, some company or engineer can get an incentive for that. So with goodwill is not changing the world. The economy should be binding with that, right? So cost effectiveness and incentive, the economics should be aligned to make make this happen faster than we expected. So update, the policy for update is, I really wanted to make some emphasize to some policymaker and in every country here. Thank you.
Okay, this round is to talk about the action. As I mentioned, each country has their vision. In Taiwan, for example, we hope to provide a precision health to our people to let our health resource can be appropriate and distributed to each resident. But how to do that? As you know, we facing the big challenge for longevity. We very fast in the aging society coming. So how to let our people do more health education behavior is more important. But we think everybody know we can teach the health promotion. The awareness very well. You can test them. Each body have a 100 score. They can pass very well. But how to change their behavior? So we think about how to using the digital technology. So we using the AI model and collect all their data to do the disease predict model in vision chart. And each doctor, because Taiwan have a national health insurance system, the coverage rate is almost 100%. So everybody, each year, you will be visit your doctor at least once. Even you get the very small cold, you go to see your doctor. But when you put in the insurance card in the machine, it come up the NCD predict model, and they say, oh, you did not well control your blood sugar, your systolic blood pressure too high. So if you not to follow the doctor's order, and then within the 10 or 5 years, you might get stroke. The risk might be 10% to 20%, the twofold risk. Well, they see, well, I give you the red label, and then they can accept this information, and the doctor will do the right education. Then we can see he can change their behavior. But how the doctor want to do this kind of job? Because in Taiwan, medical doctors, they are very busy. Each clinic, they maybe have 100 patients within the 3 to 4 hours, 2 weeks. So how to change the medical doctor behavior? They can save some money or allocate some time to do the health promotion work. I talked with the DG of the National Health Insurance Administration. They can provide some health education fee for medical doctor. Because our law, the National Health Insurance System, they only pay the treatment disease. But now we change the law. We can pay the health education consult fee so that we can change the medical doctor behavior. And we know what doctors say one word is, they can be better than I said 100 words. So we're using this kind of the action. We hope to change our resident to do more health education. And they say like the experts say, they will be increase their health literacy so they can take action to do more exercise, more healthy nutrition, and compliance with the doctor's order. This is the first we have the successful to accomplish our vision. Yes, and the other is like the COVID-19 era. Taiwan have a very Taiwan people. They are adopted nearly 100% the NPI, non-pharmaceutical index. Yeah, they wearing the mask, they wash their hand, they keeping the social distance because we have we do the very good higher education. Let them know the healthy treat due to the COVID-19, so they can follow the government's policy. And the other is now we provide the new drug to treat the oncology. It might be very expensive. And at the first beginning, we can provide everyone, but you need to do the NGS checking. Yeah, but as you know, this reference comes from the big pharma from the West country. So we needed to check the East people, like the Korea, Japan, or Taiwan, the drug response, the SNP, might be different compared with the Caucasian or the West country people. So we needed, this policy, we offer the 2 years, and then we collect the data, we do analysis to look at the drug response efficacy, and then we can modify our policy. Then let the resource can be delivered to the right person for the right treatment. So I think that for the future, the ICT, the AI can help us to change the people's behavior, to change the medical doctor's behavior, and also can increase our people's health literacy, then we can accomplish our vision. So this is my opinion and some experience to take action to fulfill our vision. Thank you.
Okay, if we look at the challenge that public health will face in the near future, then we can see that public health actually should exist in various aspects of human life, various sectors. So in this case, I see that public health professionals actually should be there in those various aspects. So in this case, I see the need of reformulating what public health is and to see where public health professionals can work, can contribute their expertise in every different sectors. So once we can identify the role of public health professionals in various factors, then we should adjust also the public health education to produce the best curriculum, the best teaching and learning method, and to provide the best competence of the graduates so that public health professionals can contribute the best of their competence in different sectors. That's what I think the first. The second thing is, without waiting for the new, let's say, development of public health education, the real now in the situation, we still have to strengthen public health professionals that now they are working. So in this case, for example, if we have, let's say, problems with politics, for example, how we can do stronger advocacy, for example. So in this case, I think we also have to have a very strategic plan to improve, to empower public health professionals so that we can do better. I agree with what Dr. Kang said, that the future we have to formulate what the future, and then we have to push ourselves to there. So currently, if we want public health to exist in various sectors, to be considered in decision making, for example, then we have to design that we are there. So in this case, the public health education institutions have very important roles, as well as also public health organization, professional organizations. So this is the thing that we have to do in now, in this current time, also for the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone. And now we have a very one last session, which is very important, floor discussion. So now you are the Pope. You can control the discussion. So I can pass the microphone to Dr. Kusumayati. Please facilitate the floor discussion.
Okay, now let me go down because I will invite comments, ideas from the floor. So I need to be closer to the floor. May I ask the organizing committee to turn on the lamp so that I can see the floor. So, yeah, I have 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 from the front, and then later on we will have. Okay, short, please, because I believe many people.
Certainly. I want to first thank you for your amazing discussions. There is a good reason we call it grand challenges. As I listened, I thought solution. No, there are more. Solutions. No, there are more. So there are big problems. And I want to say that in public health, we focus on our specific areas, whether it's discovery of new knowledge, whether it's education. And with all of our knowledge, we are still having grand challenges. If everyone in our population followed the blood pressure regimen for reducing it, we wouldn't have had the issues we have. if everyone was controlling diabetes. And it's certain places' lack of knowledge. But in many places, for many individuals, there is no lack of knowledge. We know it. But I want to go to problem of migration. We create those problems. It is, I migrated from Middle East. I had no choice, and I found better life. So how many of the problems within public health we create and then we want people to deal with? And what portion of the problems will be solved if those burdens we create are eliminated? And it all goes to money. Money talks. There is a reason for this migration. There is a reason for all of the problems we are trying to solve. So where is the disruption, and at what level we need to change things? In many levels, but there are some of those that are not within purview of public health. How do we draw the attention of finances, money, world security, world safety, everything that the big decision makers who may not be in this room pay attention to is related to public health? If we can't keep the public healthy, those goals will not be accomplished. And then how within our public we change the narrative of I want to be healthy because that's my priority. Right now, many of us have other priorities which are important for survival. So how do we blend everything together? I have no idea how, but how do we bring everything together to create a disruption in public health advocacy, education, generating science, and come together from all angles?
Thank you. Professor Eleni Nizami from the University of Miami. Dr. Indika, and then later on, Dr. Victor.
Thank you, Indika Karunatilaka, and originally from Sri Lanka and also Secretary General of APAC. And thank you for a very interesting discourse. Few thoughts that occurred to me. One thing is we need to really move away from very narrow biomedical understanding of health, because it's not only us medical people who represent public health. It's not only health professionals who represent public health. It's not only humans who are health. It's not only living beings who are health. So I think we discuss about public health, we discuss about One Health. Probably we need to think about more the planetary health, the environment, because everything is so interconnected. It is not only the biomedical model, but there are social determinants of health, the health equity, the economy, the culture, and even beyond the environment and the politics, the geopolitical reality. All these things play a huge role in health. And it was mentioned, it's not only one country. There are no borders. Now we are thinking about the global health. So I think we need to embrace the concept of the planetary health as a planet, how we can move towards that. In that way, I think public health organizations have a huge role in moving towards that. And there are no quick fixes. NCDs, health promotion, or maybe health equity, AI and technology. It doesn't work in that way because everything is so interconnected. Therefore, we need to think about a very holistic model, how we can address all these things together. The political aspect, social aspect, culture, and the biomedical, technology, everything else. Yeah. And also about the technology, probably technology can help a big way in creating equity, because equity is very important. But at the same time, it can be a double-edged sword, because technology can create digital divide. So how we can make sure that the technology, including AI, can be used to ensure equity, not the other way around. So I think those are the responsibilities of public health organizations, and organizations like APAC has a huge role in that, and probably we have a larger role in working towards health diplomacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Indika. Now I invite Dr. Victor.
Hello, thank you very much, and thank you for sharing your discourse here. I'm Victor from the University of Malaya. I heard a lot of things being discussed here, but the two major things that I think is important is the issue of protectionism. You're talking about AI, talking about technology, but now everybody is going back to protectionism. So at the end of the day, these technologies are not shared between countries for the betterment of the society. I think Prof. Agustin actually shared the main problem, and that actually leads to a lot of issue in what we are facing now. The second thing I think a lot of us are very concerned about is global financing, all right? The rich are getting richer and the 1% is getting much higher money, the money that they have, but they are not sharing it with the community. And that actually comes down to a global financing issue, which is a public health problem in the context of health financing. How much money actually spent on health financing? The richest country in the world currently are not the best, most healthy in the world. So how much are we spending on healthcare financing? And that actually links back to migration itself. If everything is financing is correct and we stop this protectionism, then I think at the end of the day, we would have solved a lot of problems in the world today. Do with migration, do with disaster, do with war, and do with all those things. But we are not talking about that here. We are talking about things which is too small. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Victor. Let me invite, okay, so two more from in the back, and then I will go to the, in the front, and we go to the back.
Thank you very much.
Professor Kim, the president of APAC.
I think one of the very important action we can do is attending this kind of network meeting, like together. So attending APAC is very important action, one of the important action. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kim. We have a very senior here, Professor Bin. You want to say something?
I've been around APAC for a long time, and in the 1980s we were talking about two main issues. One was how to communicate to all of the public health people within our region and to communicate to all about public health. The second issue was equity, and as a result of those two we founded the Asia Pacific Journal of Public Health, which belongs to APAC. It is your journal. And for example, during COVID, we received some 2,000 submissions of potential papers, and we published items such as showing that one country in our region has a vaccination rate for COVID of around about 10%. Other countries are very close to 100%. My question to members of the panel is the Asia Pacific Journal of Public Health is a fairly traditional journal, with the exception that Victor, who was here a minute ago, runs a little website, and we sometimes put items of interest up on that rapidly. But do you have any suggestions as to how we can improve communications by updating or changing the Asia Pacific Journal of Public Health?
Okay, I use the Dr. Kang terminology to improve connectivity and continuity. Okay, so in the back, two ladies and then another two ladies in the very back, yeah? Okay.
Hello, thank you so much. That was really a fascinating discussion. And I keep hearing this notion of longevity, but after listening so much about this notion of One Health, I really want to understand the extent to which then our genes are also so important when thinking about longevity. But then in this world where we have so much inequity and access to data now is such an important issue, but then who has this access, and are there concerns around misuse and what can happen if this is used in, say, inappropriate ways. My fear is really around this extent to which maybe discrimination and the types of discrimination that can arise might start to grow. So I was wondering if there are solutions, or what role can we play when thinking about the different notions of discrimination, especially when so much of our data is so important towards this and health.
Thank you. Will you please introduce yourself, please?
So sorry, my name is Dia, and I'm a researcher at the Center of Genomics and Policy at McGill.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your great discussion about our future medicine and public health. My question is, so we are generating, our generation is generating and developing our knowledge of the originality of human being based on gene and genetic traits. So I think my question is related to the, so I'm wondering how you recognize the major positive and negative impacts to our next generation to understand and to develop our genetic knowledge and technology. Thank you.
Thank you. Will you please help to the far back, two ladies there, okay?
Hello, what an interesting talk. I just have two questions in relation to the precision medicines. How can countries with limited resources can move towards precision medicines, as we know that precision medicines may require higher costs while we have a scarcity in the healthcare resources? And also how to ensure that the benefits of the precision medicines can be distributed equally across all demographics and populations. Thank you.
Will you please introduce yourself, please?
I am Atika from University of Airlangga. Thank you.
Indonesia. Okay.
Yeah, Indonesia.
Next, please.
Thank you. My name is Anita and from Indonesia. I would like to address two questions only because most of the participants here has many questions and similar questions with me. So to begin with, first of all, related with the digital health and innovation, we talk about AI and so on. And the shifting to the digital health, of course, bounded with the service provision that needs to be delivered. And the idea of public health is to close the gap and improve the accessibility to the population. So my first question will be how and what strategy, especially for the LMIC countries, to prepare this, like step by step. And the second question will be the collaboration, because the public health itself is not only an effort of public health professional, but also the other stakeholders, for example, privates. So any insight for this private sector that can collaborate and improve their efforts to increase the public health in the future?
Thank you. I have one here. Sir, will you please share your ideas?
Yeah, my name is Tomasz Grodziski. I'm coming from Poland, Krakow, Jagiellonian University. First of all, what I really missed during this interesting discussion was the question, what does it mean word future? Future is 5 years, 20 years, or 50 years? If it's 5 years, I think we are all almost ready to predict something because we like solid hard data. But if you are talking about the 25, or for some people here, probably 50 years future, we are not ready to do it, in my opinion. We are limited as a scientist because we love hard data from trials, from cohort studies, and so on, so from the past. If we are talking about the future, we need some people with innovation to build the strategy, not plan. So we need innovators, so people from outside. If we start thinking about the Samsung company, as we are in Korea, probably they use people, and the people who invented all these beautiful phones and all other devices were young people with open-minded. So I would rather say that predicting future in medicine is rather art than science. So I would rather try to invite people, as I said, some artists maybe, philosophers, other people, not scientists, because scientists will also try to ask what data, what hard data we have to prove our thesis. If we build strategy, we don't need really, we have to take a risk. In medicine, it's very difficult. In public health also, it's very difficult to take a risk. So we can build a plan, not the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Is there any?
There's a hand.
Okay. So will you, introduce yourself first, please.
Good day. I'm David Ayambasu from Sierra Leone, affiliated with the Yonsei University. My question, well, I'm concerned with advocacy, community engagement, and the passing of information. So we all know public health. We try to send out health information to the public in order to ensure their wellness. For example, when you talk about smoking, there are smoking campaigns, how to stop it, and other stuff. So my main question is, how are we sure that the community can actually heed to these informations, or us talking to them? How are we sure that they can use this information well in order to ensure their health? Because even if we talk, we'll just be giving our ideas. We'll be giving innovations, we'll be creative with things, we'll be suggesting things in order to make them well, but how are we sure that they can use this information to make them well and also help us in making us well and achieving this universal health coverage? Thank you.
Thank you. One more? Yeah. Gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Gerald Aluma is my name, from Yonsei University. My quick observation is about linkages of public health to especially security of all nations. The recent Global Health Index results indicate that most countries are struggling to link public health to security. So how I wish the public health sinks down to the aspects of our security, the team that provides our safety, in the sense that if everyone in the country can think of public health the way they think of their national anthem, it would be good. If you ask a small child in a country, he will be able to sing the national song of national anthem of that country, but will not say anything about public health. So it resonates with the idea of how we can take public health from us, the public health experts, to the community. So it has to start from childhood up to the lives that we live. Thank you very much.
I'm burned. The discussion makes me burn. Unfortunately, we have very limited time. So I invite every resource person here maybe to make final statement, maybe 2 minutes, maybe, so that at least it can please us. Okay, at least we have something to do. So I will start from, usually we start from there, so can I start with Dr. Chu?
Okay, thank you for so many questions can inspire me from the floor. I will talk about the financing problem because we want to do the public health. Public health is very difficult to have the business model. So when they face in the medical society, pharma society, they are very strong lobby system. They lobby to the government. So we need the government, they have the priority setting. If we want to do the public health, is the high rank vision. Government
should be provide budget to help public health. Like I say, to provide a health promotion system, to provide health the community resistance system. This costs money, and this money cannot be provided by the private sector automatically. So government should sponsor also so investment this kind of area. And the other side, so when we facing this the big lobby society, government should do this one, okay? And the other things is if we want to do the medical, digital health, precision health, the big data is the basic foundation structure. So we collect the data should be measure their quality, and when we using this kind of big data, we must make his transparency when they collect and provide the information security. Let our people trust the system. Then the government can use this big data to do another analysis and provide some good solution to fulfill public health under the AI or any other ICT technology. But the basic concept is you need to obtain the trust from the public. So the transparency, the information security is very important. If you can make sure this one, and for the future, public health vision can be got the benefit from the ICT, from the big data. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the last statement for me would be the DCT. So I talked about the policy for update, but I spoil how to. So DCT is a decentralized clinical trial. So some technology and policy making should be evidence-based and should be integrated in the certain service scenario, and it should be explainable. And the highest level of the evidence, it comes from DCT. I mean, clinical trial, so RCT. But it's digitalized RCT, we can call DCT. So if the clinical trial is getting faster and cheaper, we can make a knowledge faster and cheaper. And the study will be faster and cheaper. So for the clinical trial, we need, the first thing is inclusion criteria. That means we need the diagnostics. Yeah, if you can diagnose easier, we can collect the subject and data easier. And we need a control group and experimental group. So the certain some method, certain some therapeutic skill, including AI, should be offered to the experimental group, and the other group will be the existing or some control. Yeah. And the last thing is outcome measure. Outcome measure is almost same as inclusion criteria, diagnostics. We can find the delta from the start to the last, and that is the evidence, and that is medical knowledge, and that is public health decision. But if we can make those scenario, those some structure, making faster and cheaper with the digital technology or some other things, the future will come faster. So that is my last thing. Thank you.
Sure. I believe I heard through the echoes a really good question about how can we make sure if we provide samples and data that it's really used for good purposes that will benefit public health? How can we make sure that, if we participate in this sorts of endeavor, people are serious in what they're going to do with the data? And I think that's really important. One of the way, first of all, I think every scientist, every public health scientist, doctor that collects data have a duty, a moral duty to get back to the population and to give them news about, okay, this is what we've done with your data. This is how it has been used. And, you know, have that made in writing. There are agreements on data usage. As soon as somebody wants to use personal data on a person, you know, the usual is requires consent, requires a written agreement, and so a basic condition should be you need to get back to us and tell us what you've actually done with the data. But I think there are ways to go beyond that. The concept of benefit sharing, we've talked a lot about the problem financing public health initiatives. I like the concept of benefit sharing, which is a concept in research where if you're using data, if you're using samples for research or to invent something, then part of the benefit of what you're doing with the samples of a population group should be given back to the community. And it doesn't need to be in terms of monetary return. It could be capacity building, it could be education. There are many ways to make that benefit sharing happen, but that's also something that should really be considered when you're providing samples and data for public health. Of course, sometimes there are emergency situations. COVID-19 was a very good example of that. And the problem in cases like that is very often we don't necessarily have time anymore to think about the process, to think about the policies. Everything has to move fast. So really what you want is to be prepared for those situations ahead of time, to have a system in place, and not just a policy system, but the cultural norms, so that people don't even need to see the policy. They do right because they're used to doing right. And of course, we're not there yet, but that's, I think, where we would need to push.
Thank you. I'm going to finish on the topic that I brought up in the beginning, and that is the changes in demographics that we're seeing. And certainly, demographics are fundamental to public health. And I'm saying that in the next few decades, we're going to see huge changes in migration and in demographics driven by changes in fertility, changes in life expectancy, dealing with outbreaks of diseases, potentially pandemics, conflict, and other types of disasters. So where I think we're going in the future is to develop a stronger code and a stronger framework for migration. We're already seeing something in the form of the Global Compact on Migration, which was adopted by the UN with some difficulties and some objections on various sorts, but this is going to be stronger in the future. Many people are migrating for important employment purposes, and at the current time, there are about 250 million people living outside of their country of birth. So migration is a reality. It's going to be with us forever. And I think for the next few decades, our goal is how do we strengthen our management of migration so it protects the people that are migrating as well as the countries to which people are migrating. And so my hope is that all of us will be able to contribute to a better understanding of the drivers and the purpose and the reception of people who are migrants, because we're going to see more and more of these in the future, and we need to have a much more stabilized approach to this than we have in the past.
Today we discussed on the future of public health. Anyway, every public health practice or policy should be based on evidence. Now the evidence means the data-driven science. So especially in the area of AI, artificial intelligence, the data should be, the curated big data is essential. Anyway, today we did not discuss in detail, discussed on big data in detail, but anyway, the data sharing and the information sharing is essential for the future medicine. I have been trying to implement the data sharing policy in Korea, and KNIH is key, one of the hurdles, but we have still many hurdles. Anyways, so I hope that the data sharing and the vision of future public health will advance the health for all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for your contributions and for your comments. And actually, my final words is about reflecting on your comments. And you make me think about 3 concepts in public health. First of all, why we do what we do. You talk about your concerns for social determinants of health, for social justice, for really closing the gap. In other words, not leaving everyone behind. So thank you for reminding us, why do we do this? Because that's the soul of public health. Number 2, complex world calls for complex solutions. We don't have the solutions. We're learning. As a society, as a world, we're learning and we're trying, and we're gonna keep on trying difficult solutions. We need to learn more from each other. And number 3, the interconnectedness of our professions call for interprofessional, multi-professional education, but also to intersectorial solutions. So we need to do, and somebody was talking about that we always talk about ourselves. That's right. We need to talk more with the others and come up with solutions that connect us all. Thank you again for your contributions.
Okay, thank you everyone for this talk concert. Unfortunately, we are out of time, so we have to close this session. And I have been assigned to summarize the end session, but that's an impossible mission, so I'm just going to not do it because of the lack of time and because everybody looks very hungry. So I will just make a final announcement. When you head out, there will be lunch boxes serving. So when you go to the main hall, there will be lunch boxes. So please pick up lunch boxes. And for the last time, let's give them, all the speakers and the moderators, a big applause. And thank you all for participating and coming to this session. Thank you. Have a nice lunch.